Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're cracking open the document that basically launched a multi-trillion-dollar industry, the original 2008 white paper for Bitcoin. Written by the mysterious Satoshi Nakamoto, this 9-page paper laid out a totally radical new form of electronic cash. So let's break down exactly how it works and why it completely changed the game.
Okay, let's dive right into this quote. You know, this one sentence, it's pretty much the entire mission statement. Before 2008, every single electronic payment, whether you were buying a coffee or wiring millions of dollars, it all relied on a trusted middleman, like a bank. And Satoshi's big idea? Well, it was to replace that middleman with something way more reliable, just pure math.
So you might be thinking, what was actually wrong with that old system? I mean, it worked, right? Well, as Satoshi points out in the paper, relying on trust has some pretty serious weaknesses, especially when you're doing business on the internet.
So think about it. In the old model, you've got banks in the middle of everything. They have to handle disputes, which, you guessed it, adds costs to every single transaction. And because payments can be reversed, sellers are always on edge about fraud, which forces them to ask for more of your personal info than they really should. What Satoshi proposed flips this whole thing on its head. It's a system designed for direct, final payments. Basically, the digital version of handing someone a $20 bill.
So the vision here was a true peer-to-peer system. The idea is that any two people, doesn't matter where they are in the world, could send money directly to each other without having to ask a bank for permission. But to even get there, you first have to figure out what a digital coin actually is.
Now, this is absolutely crucial to understand. A Bitcoin isn't a file, like a song you can just copy and paste. It's actually defined by its history, a continuous, unbroken chain of ownership. So when I send you a Bitcoin, I'm basically digitally signing over my ownership to your address. And that adds a new link to this long, verifiable chain. Anyone can look back and see every single transfer.
And right there, that leads us to literally the billion-dollar question. With physical cash, it's easy, right? I can't give you a dollar bill and also give that same bill to someone else. But with digital stuff, you can copy-paste all day long. This whole issue is what we call the double spend problem. And honestly, solving this was the real magic trick.
The thing is, the solution couldn't have a central gatekeeper, like a bank, checking if a coin was already spent. No way. Instead, the entire network of users altogether had to come to an agreement on one single shared history of every transaction that has ever happened.
So here's the key takeaway. To stop anyone from spending the same money twice, every single transaction has to be announced publicly to everyone on the network. It's kind of like shouting, "I'm paying Alice 1 coin" in a giant town square where everyone is listening and taking notes. There are no secrets.
And here's how they actually build that public record. The network scoops up all the recent transactions into a big list, and we call that a block. Then, that block gets sealed with a special cryptographic code, and it's chained right onto the end of the previous one. And just like that, you get the blockchain, this ever-growing, unchangeable public record of every transaction, all in perfect order.
Okay, so we've got this public ledger. Awesome. But hang on, that brings up a couple of huge questions, right? First, who actually gets to add the next block to the chain? And second, what's to stop someone from just making up their own fake chain to cheat everybody? This is where the security comes in.
And this, my friends, is where the absolute genius of proof of work enters the picture. To earn the right to add the next block, people on the network, called miners, have to solve a ridiculously hard but easily verifiable math puzzle. It's basically a massive computational race that uses up a ton of processing power and electricity.
So here's the key to how everyone agrees on things without a boss. In the Bitcoin network, your vote on what the real history is, it's not about who you are. It's purely about how much raw computing power you're willing to throw at the problem. The majority decision is simply the one represented by the longest chain, the one with the most work poured into it.
And this is what makes the whole system so incredibly secure. As long as the good guys control most of the computing power, their version of the blockchain is always going to grow the fastest. An attacker trying to slip in a fake chain, they just can't keep up. To rewrite the past, they'd have to redo all that proof of work and outrace the entire honest network. It's practically impossible.
Okay, so we've got a secure ledger that nobody controls. But wait a minute, that puzzle-solving race sounds really expensive, right? I mean, it uses a ton of electricity and special computers. So why on earth would anyone voluntarily participate?
Well, Satoshi came up with this brilliant incentive system.
He drew a parallel to gold miners, who spend a lot of resources to dig gold out of the ground. In this case, the resources aren't shovels and dynamite, they're CPU time and electricity. And just like gold miners, Bitcoin miners get rewarded for their effort.
So the miner who wins that race and adds the next block gets a reward. Actually, they get two things. First, they get the block reward, which is brand new Bitcoin created out of thin air. And second, they get to collect all the little transaction fees from every payment in that block. This makes it way more profitable to just be honest and help secure the network than to even think about trying to attack it.
So let's just recap for a second. You've got a public ledger that anyone can check. You've got this proof of work thing that makes it almost impossible to cheat. And you've got this built-in economic reward that makes people want to play by the rules. It's this incredible self-running system for digital cash that just works without needing a bank or any middleman at all.
And that brings us to the real legacy of this little 9-page paper, which is just mind-blowing when you think about it. See, Bitcoin wasn't just about creating new money. It was a proof of concept. It showed the world that with some clever math and smart economics, we can build systems that let people coordinate without needing a central boss. It basically proved that trust itself could be turned into code. And that idea, well, that's still sending shockwaves through our world today. Thank you for watching. If you got something from this, please like the video and support the channel by clicking on the subscribe button. That really helps us. Thanks again.